Now let's talk about the controllers in Maya 2018. You see that this character has a control rig attached, and I can of course access these control objects by just selecting them. Sometimes the control objects are obstructed, not so easy visible. Sometimes I'm selecting two of them because they are too close together. And it would be much easier if I could walk up and down a hierarchy with my cursor keys instead of selecting the objects on the screen. Unfortunately, all of these controllers are, you see that they are in one group here, and they don't necessarily form a hierarchy, a proper hierarchy, so that I can walk up and down this hierarchy with the cursor keys. Sometimes the controllers are stuck in another hierarchy together with other objects. And that's where the controllers come in. Now, in the rigging menus, you will find it in the control menu, tag as a controller and parent controller. Now, what we first do is to select all of the controllers of the character, just so, and tag them as controllers, which will attach a underscore tag object to all of these controllers. That's a node here, and that node lets me adjust several things with the controller. To parent them all together, it's pretty easy actually. You select the controller and its supposed parent object, and then parent these controllers, and then do the same thing again. You can hit the G key to parent these objects together. G and G. So you get the idea. This parenting is sort of a hidden hierarchy. You cannot check it anywhere. There's no graphical representation of this parenting. If it's not working, you would simply do it again. But from now on, I can pick an object and walk up within the hierarchy and up in the hierarchy to select that object. So let's do that with all of the objects. Now that all of these objects are parented, I can walk up and down the hierarchy with the cursor keys, and I can also walk left and right to the other arm. In this example, so for example, the elbow here, I can walk left and right to the other arm. That makes it much easier for me as an animator to access these control objects and to quickly modify them when it's needed. Now there's another thing that is a little bit annoying when we talk about all these control objects. It's nice that I can turn them off when we talk about playback. So for example, here we have switched it so that the whole rig is not visible when the playback is running. You see, as soon as I touch the timeline or when I hit playback, the whole rig disappears and gives me a better view on my whole animation. But while I'm animating or while I'm not playing, the whole rig is visible. And I don't need the whole rig at all times. So it is actually a good idea to select all these objects and set their tag node to be only visible. Let me open the attribute editor here and dock it somewhere here. So to go to this tag object and turn on that functionality that it's only visible on mouse proximity, which means when the mouse is close to it. Unfortunately, this setting is not keyable, and therefore it's not visible here in the channel box. In order to set it for all of these tag objects, an easy method would be to select all the objects that are named underscore tag. So now I've selected all of these tag nodes, and to access their settings, their visibility settings, the easiest way here is to use the attribute spreadsheet. So in the attribute spreadsheet, you can go into the all section, then that's where your attributes or where these attributes become visible. And there we simply take this column here. So we select one and shift select the lowest one here. And then I'm entering a 2 for the second option here, which means show on mouse proximity. Now I've set it for all of these objects. That is a little bit, work around here, but as a rigger, it shouldn't be much of a problem. Now you see that all of these objects have disappeared. Only when I'm close with my mouse, you see here the hand controller, for example, becomes visible when I'm close. And even if it's selected, it's only visible when I'm close to it. Here the hip will completely disappear as soon as I'm away with my mouse, which makes it very nice because, now it lets me select these objects and they are gone completely, and I can modify the thing without the controller being in the way visually. So these are the controller objects. One more thing that you should know about these controllers: once these objects are tagged as a controller, the evaluation system knows that if one of these objects is moving, it needs to evaluate all dependent objects or anything that is attached to this controller, because it is part of the character animation system.